Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. And bonjour from the beautiful city of Paris, and welcome to part 7 of my walking and talking series, where I'm getting ready for the annual Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta, Georgia on July the 4th, the largest 10K in the world, and I'm trying to lose 10 to 15 pounds along that journey. So we'll get back to the weight loss piece of it later on. But for now, this is part 7 of my walking series, and I also want to talk about the Criterion Collection sale at Barnes & Noble starting tomorrow, Friday, June the 27th. So as part of this walking talking series, I'm going to start here at the Ambassador Hotel, the Paris Merritt Opera Ambassador Hotel, where my wife and I are staying, an absolutely beautiful hotel here in central Paris. And I am going to start from here and take a little bit of a walk and talk about our time here so far, the impressions that we have gathered from this beautiful city. This city is so stunningly beautiful, but also share with you some Criterion Collection recommendations for the sale that's starting at Barnes & Noble in the United States on Friday, June the 27th. So, of course, I'm going to share with you some impressions from our time here. And I'll just tell you that right off the bat, the impressions of this city, the stunning architecture, similar to London, but with a French flair. The architecture is absolutely mind-blowing here. I mean, this city has such a beautiful cinematic feel to it. And that's part of, for someone who loves film, like myself and like you, can appreciate something like that. As you're walking through the streets, you see these beautifully created buildings, and the way they're just crafted is just like pieces of art. It's pretty incredible. But this city has such incredible character everywhere you look. It has a very cinematic and romantic feel to it, which is everything that one would expect coming to Paris. So, of course, one of the things that strikes you immediately, as I said, is the architecture. Everywhere you look, just absolutely stunning. And then I'll share with you a little bit about what we've done so far. So yesterday, folks, my wife and I did this absolutely wonderful cruise on the River Seine here in Paris that launched from the port near the Eiffel Tower. We got on the boat, and this cruise, folks, gave us this beautifully serene, sweeping views of the city's skyline and the historic bridges along the way. And it felt like we were floating through a Godard film, a Jean-Luc Godard film. Absolutely beautiful. I love the nice cafes everywhere you look. Just beautiful. People sitting out, having a wonderful dinner. Of course, it is early morning Thursday, but in the evenings you'll see people, or in the afternoons you'll see people out in these wonderful cafes enjoying meals together, coffee. Just a really nice atmosphere here in this beautiful city. But yeah, I mean, the river cruise on Seine was just absolutely insane. It was just absolutely beautiful, just all the views. And then after, I'm gonna cross the street here, got the green sign. Excuse me. And of course, after the cruise, we toured the Eiffel Tower, which was something we will never forget. And we took time to enjoy one of the upper level observation areas, okay? Observation decks. And folks, the view from the deck at that level is just absolutely breathtaking. It gives you a fresh sense of the layout and legacy of this city. And what really struck me about it, folks, was just how vast this city is. Similar to London in the sense that you just really don't realize how large these cities are until you arrive here and you're like, and you get to see that level of a view, you're like, my goodness, This is insane, but it's beautiful, it is rich, it just gives you this sense of scope and scale for this city, and really gives you an understanding of, yeah, okay, that's why so many films are set in Paris, because of how grand and epic this city is. It is truly a, a world gem when it comes to cinema. So that brings us to the Criterion Collection Sale. Of course, we know that the Criterion Sale starts this Friday, June the 27th in the United States of America, North America. And when I get back to Atlanta late Friday, I do plan to go by my local Barnes & Noble, or one of my local Barnes & Nobles, on Saturday to pick up my picks, either Saturday or Sunday. I plan to do that across the street. So I want to give you some Criterion Collection recommendations with a French twist. And so I've got 3 titles that I'm going to talk about that I strongly recommend for this upcoming sale. Of course, you see the Paris, the wonderful, wonderful opera location there. Stunning, beautiful. But yeah, so I've got 3 recommendations for this Criterion sale that I think you ought to consider adding to your cart if you're interested in French films. So the first recommendation of a French film that I'll give you is The 400 Blows from Francois Truffaut. This is a cornerstone of the French New Wave. It is moving, it is personal, it is poetic, and it's the kind of film that defines cinema itself. And the Criterion Collection edition is an absolute must. This film has one of the most iconic ending frames that you will ever see in all of cinema. It is a stunning, beautiful film that I highly recommend. Now, please note that this film will be a part of the Antoine Doinel set of 4 films on 4K Ultra HD covering the story of this young man featured in The 400 Blows. So if you do not already have that, you have 2 options to get it. You can get The 400 Blows on standalone Blu-ray. If you don't want to invest in the whole set, that probably is a good way to go. If you just want to get a taste of French film, a taste of Truffaut, but not invest in the entire set, The 400 Blows is available on standalone Blu-ray. But if you're interested in getting an upgrade of this title, it will be part of the 4K box set, The Adventures of Antoine Doinel, coming out in July, and it's definitely a title I plan to get in the July sale. So definitely keep The 400 Blows in mind. The second title that I'll bring to your collection is a title from Jean-Pierre Melville, and it is Le Cercle Rouge, or The Red Circle. And this is a gorgeously styled heist film that is based here in France, that takes place here in France. I think the year is 1969 or 1970. It came out around the same time that Army of Shadows from Jean-Pierre Melville came out. But it is a wonderful film that has that noir energy and French precision to it. And you have Alain Delon and Yves Montand. It just doesn't get any cooler than that. Those 2 dudes on film are just absolute French standouts, and they are amazing in this film called Le Cercle Rouge, The Red Circle. That's available on Criterion 4K, and I have a review of that title on this channel. I will put that in the link of the description of this video. Another title that I reviewed on this channel that I highly recommend is a French film. It's a more modern French film that was filmed in the 1990s, and it's a film from Mathieu Kassovitz, and it is called La Haine. Now, this is a very raw, visceral film, and I'm going to make sure I'm crossing the road the right time here. So it's raw, visceral, and it is absolutely still devastatingly relevant. The restoration of this film is top-notch. It is on 4K Ultra HD. This film was shot in color, but is presented in black and white. And the black and white photography of this film on this 4K disc is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful 4Ks in my collection. It is highly, highly recommended. This is a title, La Haine, that I've seen in Barnes & Noble for these sales for years. On Blu-ray, never picked it up, but when it came out on 4K recently, I grabbed it, and I am so, so happy that I did. Now, let me see here. I think I have to divert to this area here. But yeah, La Haine from Matthew Kassovitz, highly, highly recommended on 4K. I did a review of La Haine on 4K on this channel, so I'll put a link in the description. Definitely check out my review of La Haine. Check out, isn't that lovely? Beautiful. So yeah, so that is La Haine from Matthew Kassovitz. Now, let me share with you a really neat moment that also has a Criterion connection to it, which also brings us to another recommendation. This is a moment I didn't really expect to include, but while riding through the city yesterday in a taxi, when my wife and I were riding in a taxi, I think after the tour of the Eiffel Tower, we saw a street poster on a sign of Jean-Michel Basquiat. And that distinctive look and energy of his just leapt off the screen. And I have a little visual of me capturing that on an earlier take of this video that I didn't like. So I'm gonna include that in the video here. So yeah, we saw Jean-Michel Basquiat on this nice visual. And I had the opportunity to have a very quick conversation with the driver. He recognized Basquiat as well immediately. And it reminded me of Julian Schnabel's Basquait, which is available on Criterion 4K. I have reviewed that title as well on this channel, and I definitely recommend that you check that out if you're interested in learning more about that artist. Now, that is not a French film. That's a film that's set in New York City, but it does have a tie-in to our time here in the wonderful city of Paris. You can see references anywhere you go in the world to things that you're enjoying in cinema, and that is just an example. So, of course, as I said, this film is set in New York, but it's absolutely worth grabbing in this sale. Jeffrey Wright is phenomenal in the lead. He plays Jean-Michel Basquiat. Of course, Jean-Michel Basquiat is an artist who died at a very young age, but he had a very unique style to his filmmaking. I mean, his style of not filmmaking, his style of art represents a very artistic rebellion that you feel in a place like Paris. It's just beautiful. So it's absolutely worth grabbing in the sale. But yeah, being in a place like this, folks, sorry for the pauses in this video, but you just can't help, this gentleman's laughing at me, but you can't help but just appreciate the beauty of what you're seeing everywhere you go. The architecture is just stunning. I mean, look at this building right here. You're just sort of overwhelmed by it. I don't know how people feel who live here. Of course, you also see a lot of construction, as you see up there, some construction going on, but just absolutely phenomenal. So that's Walking and Talking Part 7, filmed on the streets here of Paris with a few glimpses of my time on the Seine River. I had to make sure I asked someone at the desk, how do you pronounce this? Is it Seine? No, Seine. On the Seine River, and seeing the Eiffel Tower. We just had some beautiful views of this great city, and we've only seen glimpses of it so far. So don't forget, the Criterion sale starts this Friday, June the 27th. I am looking forward to getting back to the United States after enjoying another day and a half here, roughly, here in Paris. We're gonna get on a flight tomorrow, head back to Atlanta. Gonna take a flight out of Charles de Gaulle Airport and head back to the wonderful city of the ATL. Now, also, we're gonna be going later today. I believe we're gonna head over to Euro Disney, or Disneyland Paris, which is about an hour outside the city. So looking forward to that, enjoying a few hours out there, seeing Mickey and Minnie and all of their friends European style. So we're going to do Disney Euro out here, or Euro Disney, and then head back home. But let me know in the comments section below, what do you think about these recommendations? Let me know what are some of your favorite French films, and let me know what titles you plan to pick up in the Criterion Collection sale. It starts this Friday, June the 27th, and I believe it runs through July the 27th. Let me know all that goodness in the comments section below, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.